I've been living in Palermo for 2 years this year, and prior to this I used to live in Salerno for 4 years. So I feel like I've kind of arrived at the point now where I can give a pretty reasonable comparison between these two cities and tell you which I think is better in a number of different categories, which we're going to go through in today's video. Now, just to be clear, I'm referring to the cities of Salerno and Palermo, not the provinces, because if you didn't already know, Salerno and Palermo are also provinces of the same name, but they cover a much larger area. I'm being very specific and I'm talking about the actual cities of Salerno and Palermo because that is where I live and have lived in the past. So with that said and done, let's get into the first category, cleanliness. Yes, this one has a clear hands down winner, I'm afraid. Salerno is far cleaner than Palermo any day of the week. Now, I recently went back to Salerno after nearly 2 years of having left there, and it was beautifully clean, like nothing has changed. And it's not just the parts where the tourists go, it's also the local neighbourhoods as well. Yes, you might get spots of rubbish now and again, but compared to what I deal with here on a daily basis in Palermo, it pales in comparison. And so, you know, Salerno is a really, really clean city in that respect. When we talk about Palermo, on the other hand, well, if you only stick to the places where the tourists go, you could be forgiven for thinking this is a clean city, because if I'm honest with you, that's where the attention goes in this city. That's where the cleaning services really put most of their effort. But if you kind of come out a little bit into the neighbouring areas, even just down the side streets leading off the tourist parts, then that's when you get a real flavour of what the rubbish collection is really like in this city, which is kind of next to non-existent. So I don't know what to really say about this. I feel like a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, it's because Palermo's a big city, Salerno's a small city, that's why there's a difference in cleanliness. I just think that's a load of old codswallop. Like, you know, a place can be big or small, but it's the mentality of the people that keeps it clean, not the size of the city. Like, I really don't believe in this at all. I think it's just an excuse to justify the situation. You know, I tell it how it is. But essentially, I think there is a lot of bureaucracy that ties the cleaning services in knots here. Like, essentially the rubbish collection in Palermo is organised through a private company called RAP, who are pretty notorious anyway. They are not the most reliable service, but they have said in recent months that they have like maybe 30 new people that are ready to start within the company, but there's always a delay. There's always some kind of bureaucratic hurdle that has to be overcome before they can actually begin the job of cleaning the city. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, I have to be honest, the rubbish here, it gets me down sometimes because I'll be walking around and the smell of rubbish is pungent in the air, but also the rubbish bins are just overflowing onto the streets. It's just horrible. And like sometimes in recent weeks, people have been setting fire to the rubbish here. I just don't understand it. Like, people have a very strange mentality here when it comes to cleanliness. Their homes are clean, like you could eat your dinner off the floor, but yeah, people will just trash the streets with all of their crap. I just don't understand it sometimes. But that said and done, Salerno is the clear winner in this category. Okay, second category, food. Now, here, I'm going to say Salerno and Palermo are both winners. There is no real distinction in my opinion, because Salerno, oh my God, you will taste the best pizzas you have ever tasted in your life in Salerno, because you are in the region of pizza. And also you'll taste some incredible pasta dishes, some dolce. So the food in Salerno is lovely. I will say Palermo, the food has a slight edge compared to Salerno, typically because of the street food, because of the variety of dishes, the seafood. Everything is exquisite here when it comes to food. Like, Palermitans know how to eat well. And I will say that in that case, like, you will eat some of the most incredible food you've ever tasted here in Palermo, and even Italians know it. Like, if you mention Palermo to an Italian, the first thing they'll talk about is the food, both sweet and savoury. So as much as I think both cities are winners in respect of the kind of food that you can eat here, I do believe that Palermo maybe has the slight edge, only because of the incredible street food and just the diverse types of food that you can find here. Like, it really, really is exceptional. Okay, beaches. Now, This is an interesting one because in Salerno, if we're going to be really precise, in the city of Salerno itself, there is a beach. Santa Teresa is the main city beach, and then if you go further down into the neighbourhoods of Torrione and Pastana, the beach continues down. However, if we're going to compare the beach in the city of Salerno to the beach in the city of Palermo, Mondello, there is no comparison. Palermo is the clear winner. The beach in Mondello is insanely beautiful, not in August, not in the height of summer. Watch this video up here if you want to know why, but I'm talking about the rest of the year. It is amazing. The water is turquoise. The sand is soft and clean. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful, beautiful beach. You could almost believe that you're in the Caribbean. It's so lovely. So, with Salerno, I would say the water is not the best. You are near the port, so unfortunately that does kind of contribute to sometimes having some rather dirty water in Salerno. And yeah, I think even the locals will tell you the beach in the centre of Salerno itself isn't the best. In fact, people will travel out, as I've said in many videos, to the Cilento coast where it is very beautiful, or even along the Amalfi where the water becomes a little bit cleaner. But yeah, if we're going to do a direct comparison with the beaches in the city itself, Palermo, hands down, is the winner. Okay, let's talk about entertainment. Now, here again, I feel we have a distinct winner. Again, we are talking just about the cities of Palermo and Salerno. Palermo's the winner. Now, this is kind of one of the reasons why I moved here, because Salerno is a beautiful city. I highly recommend visiting it. You know I love it. But essentially, when it comes to the nightlife, it's a little bit lackluster, shall we say. So there are bars, there are restaurants, but essentially, if you really want a buzzy, happening atmosphere, you would travel out off Salerno and go to Cava di Tirreni or along the Amalfi or somewhere other than Salerno, basically, Naples even. It's not really renowned for its nightlife, and things can become very repetitive and stale after a while. And even just for things to do, like cultural activities, things to do for a holiday, there's lots to do. Like, I'm not disputing that at all. But when you live there day in and day out, you do run out of things to do after a while. It isn't that kind of city. Whereas here in Palermo, oh my goodness, there is always something happening, some kind of festival. There's always something happening in the centre. We have Europe's third largest fiesta on our doorstep, Teatro Massimo. Like, it's incredible. In fact, last night I went to my very first performance in Teatro Massimo to see a musical in English, by the way, which was amazing. And it just blew me away. Like, what an incredible building. And this is the thing, this is on my doorstep. And not only that, but there are many other cinemas which also show English films, by the way. This is incredible. I know they are starting this initiative in Salerno, but it's not something that has become fully established yet. It's still kind of in the testing infancy stage. And then you have like places of cultural interest, art galleries, individual museums. There's always something, there's an array of shops. Like, there are so many things happening here in Palermo. I feel like every weekend there is a new event going on. And so this is a city that you will never get bored in. And so 100% I would say that Palermo is so much better than Salerno when it comes to entertainment, things to do, nightlife, all of the above. It ticks every single box. There is just so much happening in this city, and as much as it's crazy and chaotic, I do love Palermo for this reason. Okay, let's talk about weather. Now, this one I would say, Salerno and Palermo both have good weather. I would say it is different because in Salerno, you do have slightly colder winters. It is a windier city, which I've spoken about before, which kind of means that it can be a little bit cooler at points, but then it can also get pretty hot in the summer with high humidity. So it doesn't escape the heat. Whereas here in Palermo, a lot of people liken the weather here to being that of Africa. Like, it's super hot, it's like arid, it's like desert-like. And, you know, especially in the summer, like now, really hot. It's been like over 30 degrees this week, which is nothing because I certainly expect it to reach over 40 degrees like it has done for the last couple of summers. So when you consider it to be like that, Salerno is cooler in many respects. I would say as well, like the winters here, like it didn't really feel like winter here in Palermo until January. Consider it's difficult for me now to understand the change in seasons from when summer finishes and winter begins, because it doesn't really feel like there's an autumn. It always feels like summer here. Like people go swimming in the sea at Mondello, even in like October, November time, it's that mild. That generally doesn't happen in Salerno. It is a bit cooler at that time of the year back in Salerno. So I think in terms of the high temperatures, in terms of the climate, it is definitely warmer here in Palermo. I feel like this is going to change though. Like, you know, global warming means the weather's a little bit up the creek nowadays, but I do think that the weather here in Palermo is hotter, is milder in the winter season, and yeah, for this reason, I kind of think if you like the heat, if you like the sun, you will love Palermo. If you like something which is a little bit fresher in the winter, you can still benefit from the hot weather as well in the summer, then you'll like Salerno. So I don't know, I'm a bit on the fence with this one with the weather, because it really depends on you as a person as to which one you're going to prefer. But I think I'm going to lean in and tick the box for Palermo, because the fact that we have milder winters here is definitely a big plus. And even when it is cold, it's cold for like a month and a half, 2 months tops. Like it doesn't drag on and on. So yeah, I would say Palermo. Okay, so let's talk about the category of which is better as a holiday destination. Gosh, this is actually really difficult. So let's talk about Palermo. Well, Palermo, there is so much to see and do here. You can travel out of Palermo, you can visit Cefalù, you can visit Agrigento, you can go further south in Sicily and visit Ragusa and Modica if you fancy making a road trip of it. Like, there is so much to see here, and I think for this reason Palermo is an amazing holiday destination. There is fantastic organisation when it comes to like tourist information services. You can find them dotted all around the city. There is a lot of effort put towards tourism here. It doesn't always work. I mean, of course, you know, this is Italy, we have to have patience, but essentially there is a lot of emphasis on tourism here in Palermo, and as such, you will never be short of things to do, places to go, and so forth. And there is a train station here that can take you out to Cefalù, for example, and out to other parts of Palermo itself. But I will say that, of course, as is the case even in Salerno, the public transport in South Italy is a bit hit and miss. I mean, generally speaking, the trains fare better than the buses, but I would always plan very meticulously your journeys here, because wherever you are, Salerno or Palermo, the public transport, especially the buses, can be a little bit unpredictable. But yeah, so I would say in Palermo there is a lot to do. There is plenty of accommodation options, from hotels to bed and breakfast options. You can find anything that you want here, Airbnbs. There is a lot, like pretty much most of the centre is some kind of an accommodation option. So there's no shortage of places to sleep in, for sure. I just think it is a great city to visit. Like, it's something that is very raw and rugged and unpretentious. It doesn't pretend to be like the Amalfi, for example. It is what it is, take it or leave it. But there is an incredible, undeniable energy about Palermo that I just can't really convey very well through words alone. You have to come here and experience it for yourself. Salerno, on the other hand, is in an amazing location as well. Like, you are 30 minutes by boat from Amalfi, and of course you've got the Amalfi coast on your doorstep, including Vietri sul Mare, which is the very first Amalfi coastal town outside of Salerno, which is like 5 to 10 minutes away. It's amazing. So for your location, it's fantastic. You've got a train station that services Rome, Milan, Naples, Sapri, further south, Puglia. You can travel around, my friend, to your heart's content from Salerno. It really is a great base. It's also really good because up to now, it's not hugely touristical, which means that you will find places to stay. There are bed and breakfasts. There is one really big hotel, the Grand Hotel, which I've spoken about before. I'm on the fence about it. I don't think it's that amazing. I think you'd be better in an Airbnb or bed and breakfast. But essentially, you will find places to stay, but it's not to the same degree as you would here in Palermo. Palermo is far more touristical compared to Salerno, which has its pros and cons for sure. But in Salerno, you will find that there are things to do. There are places to go and see. There are some hidden gems and things to uncover. And if you want to know exactly what they are, then I suggest you take a look at my digital travel guide for Salerno. I created this with 4 years worth of experience of having lived there, all the places I used to go to, some of the places that people don't realise even exist in Salerno. And I even went back earlier this year just to make sure that everything was still as accurate as can be. So if you want to have the most authentic time in Salerno and really uncover this gem of a destination, then I suggest you have a look at this travel guide. There's so much to see and do in there, all my recommendations and a bonus YouTube video with additional content that can help you have the best time in this amazing city. So I'll put the link up here and I'll pop it below in my show notes. Now, when it comes to kind of things to do in Salerno, as I've said, there are things to do for tourists. Of course, of an evening, it depends. If you're there for a short period of time, you don't necessarily need to have lots of evening entertainment. You can find it in Salerno for sure. But you can also travel out and you can go to Cava Tirreni and to the neighbouring places if you really want to experience a more buzzy nightlife. So there are options for you. But generally speaking, the cost of life in Salerno is cheaper than if you were to go to stay in Amalfi or any of the other more touristical places in that part of Italy. So I would say if I'm going to do a direct comparison, it's so difficult because they are two completely different cities. You will have two completely different experiences. I think I have to give both of them a tick. They are both awesome holiday destinations for very different reasons. And this is the beauty of visiting Italy. Like, one part of Italy is completely different to another. You sometimes cannot even make this comparison and it's too difficult to do it. So I kind of think I really recommend you visit Salerno. It's getting even easier to reach Salerno from this year with the airport opening in just a matter of weeks now. Palermo has its airport. It's a little bit out of the city in Carini, but it's easily accessible with a train service and bus service. And of course, you know, you've got a lot to see and do in both cities. So yeah, there you go. Add both of them to your bucket list of destinations to visit. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I just wanted to do this comparison because I think it can be difficult sometimes to assess where might be best to go, either to live or to visit. So I hope this video has helped. If you enjoyed this, I think you'll also love this video right here next, where I explain to you a bit more about the things you need to know about life here in South Italy. I will see you in the next video.